Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs. I'm just going to arrange the camera here because it seems that I am a little red. Hopefully that'll make it a little better here. There we go. All right, let's try that again. Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to season 5 and episode number 756 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Do, always 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. Doing that from memory, looking up. Okay, yep, I'm, I'm okay. And it's not a great day here at the Beaver Lodge. I can see a little bit of blue here in the sky after a big day of rain. So hopefully there will be some nice weather today because we got a good drink yesterday, even though we still do need more. But, a day of rain, a day of sunshine, a day of rain, a day of sunshine would be better than like 3 or 4 consecutive days of rain, because at some point it starts to affect your mood. And also, we want to make sure that we have the weather that is required to stay in the deck. And we need to I think get this temperatures that hit above 13 degrees Celsius and no rain for a little bit to give it enough time to dry and all that kind of stuff. So right now, even though overall I want more rain, I am hoping for a couple of days of dry weather so we can finish the project before we have guests over for Thanksgiving. There we go. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronoun he, him. Hey, Mr. Beaver A, and not with me as usual is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly, but I am happy to announce that you will get a dose of Grizzly on tomorrow's show. So stay tuned for that, kids and cubs. We're always bringing the surprise and the prezzies for the DAMFAM. All right. And a big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Thank you to the DAMFAM for your patience this morning. Needed a little bit of extra time to put the show together. And of course, every now and then, nature calls. So I had to take care of that. And you were lovely and patient and had kept the discussion going amongst yourselves while that was happening. So thank you. Really appreciate that. And I'm glad you stuck around for the show this morning. How is your mental health doing today, kids? I'm doing well. A little tired today because last night was a short night. Tuesday is a volleyball night with our group of friends, which I normally don't get to play because Tuesday is a curling night for me. But for a couple of weeks at the beginning of the school year, before curling starts. There's a couple weeks I can go and hang out with our friends. I didn't go play volleyball last night itself, but afterwards there's usually a get together either for a drink or some nosh, and I did attend that. But that meant a later than usual bedtime. So a little slow this morning, and I can feel it. My eyes are burning a little, but in a very good spirits for many reasons. Not only because I'm still floating on the kindness of strangers who returned my shoulder bag, but also my beaver sweetie. If you will notice, the earrings are in pairs. I had lost one of these, and my beaver sweetie found it. Clearing some stuff out of the garage of all things. So I guess at some point over the winter, not the winter, over the summer, I went into the garage to look for something, and the earring fell off, and he just happened to find it on the floor, and was like, "There you go, I found it." So my hero. Finding lost things and time spending time with friends will definitely do some good for the morale, as one would say. So yeah, in good spirits. Have a rehearsal this evening, and then tomorrow will be the beginning officially of the curling season. I will have two matches. My Monday morning men's senior team will play tomorrow. I will play tomorrow afternoon because Monday's Thanksgiving, so therefore we had to reschedule the game. And my Tuesday men's league will also start tomorrow night because for some reason. Um, uh, the way that our rounds are played, we always have to play at least one game on a Thursday night to fit all the matches in. So I guess we just have too many teams or something, and they've found a way to accommodate us all. So we play every Tuesday and one Thursday in each round, and that way we're able to get all the matches in. And well, it seems that everybody's decided that the day for the Thursday matches will be the first day of the curling season. So there you go. So I will be doing that. I got to go to practice yesterday and tried on my new shoes. Of course, I'm breaking in new shoes, so they kind of hurt my feet a little bit, and the top part of it, the tongues part of it, dig in to the feet a little bit when I'm in the hack and getting ready to push. But I am guessing that as the leather gets more supple as I wear them, that's a problem that will resolve itself. But I threw a couple of stones, and I was like thinking, "Gee, how am I going to play a whole match? Because these shoes are hurting my feet." Fortunately, and I wish I had gotten it on video because nobody will believe me. But my first shot of the season on practice ice, wearing new shoes with a different slider, sliders that will carry me much further. I was still using a beginner slider after 20 years, and people said, it's like you really do need to upgrade. So I did. Yeah, first time on the ice in a few months with new shoes and a new slider that carries me much further. And my first rock, without any sweeping whatsoever, landed right on the button. I almost got off the ice and said, "That's it, season's over," because it's not going to get better than this. The new shoes are a little interesting because before, when I used to throw the rocks, I'd get about as far as about maybe 3 or 4 feet in front of the hog line, for those who know that. And now I'm sliding right past it. I can go almost like halfway down the ice with a slide with not very much push in terms of strength. So yeah, I really have to rein in the horses in my leg in order to find my new range. However, for takeouts, oh my God, these shoes are amazing because I used to have to press so hard to have push so hard out of the hack to get a high weight takeout, and sometimes I'd have to push so hard that I'd like throw myself off balance, and by the time I got myself back lined up, well, then I would lose all the momentum and the rock wouldn't go where it needed to go. The takeouts that I tried yesterday, I was like a laser with those shoes. So hopefully, if my takeouts I'm pretty good on them regularly with those old shoes. But if the new shoes allow me to be even that much more accurate, allow me to carry some weight and momentum from my slide in as I make sure that I get exactly lined up with the broom to let the rock go at the right time, I might be lethal this year. So, however, for doubles, it's going to be a little trickier because given that there's so much momentum on the shoes, I'm still sliding when I need to stop and get up and sweep my rock. And I'm not quite sure how to stop the momentum of the slide to get up without putting my hands on the ice to slow down. And you're really not supposed to do that. So I'm going to have to learn some new tricks. Um, but I am seeing the advantages and the disadvantages. I'm also going to have to learn with these shoes. Because I've always played without a gripper on the slide shoe, and on this one, I am going to have to learn to play with a gripper on the slide shoe for sweeping, which will be trickier on faster weight rocks because I won't be able to slide. Um, that might be the hardest part for me is learning how to sweep in a new way. Given that I'd be walking down the ice all along when I'm sweeping rather than sliding. So yeah, that will be a little trickier. However, I figure if I manage to do that when we get to the other end and rocks are hitting each other and spraying all over, given that I'm able to stop, I'll probably be more nimble and have a lesser likelihood that rocks would hit my feet and maybe take me out because sometimes I have to do some nifty whoa when I have one foot that is sliding all the time in a situation like that, which I have been able to do pretty much my entire curling career. But it would be nice just to be able to put my foot down and have certainty. So I'm going to have to learn a couple of new things. A couple of things will probably be frustrating, but so far, so good with the new shoes. And I'm sure they'll be great when they are really broken in. So that's what I got today, kits and cubs. Um, since I have you all, let's say, by the way, because I missed it yesterday, happy birthday to Bucky's young ones. No, I say young ones, 23 and 29, two quick birthdays, daughter and son. But hopefully it was wonderful occasions and everybody got to celebrate and have lots of cake, as well as lots of joy and laughter. So, best wishes to you, sir, and all of your family. All right, let's take a little look into the magic monitor and see who we have with us this morning. We have Kit Elaine saying, "Good morning, everyone," and not able to believe that it's already Wednesday. I know this week has gone fast, even this month, so far as I remember, starting on October 1st and going, wow, October already, and we're already into the second week. Things go fast. Life goes fast. We have Kit Jillian here saying, "Good morning." Kit Uncover with a themed beaver joke for me today. What is the beaver's big solo in a musical? Doing a little edit there. And it's a luck be a logger tonight. Luck be a logger tonight. Luck if you've ever been a logger to begin with. Luck be a logger tonight. Ah, really need to warm up the singing voice in the morning. There's uh, a little bass and scratch in there, but I like that one. I like that one. I had that. I have that. We're rehearsing that number particularly right now, and I have that song stuck in my head. And now I have to just remember to move my mouth to the words as I move in my feet in the choreography section to it. And by the way, to all of you who have let me know that you have bought tickets and are planning to come. Thank you so much. And please, when you do come, remember a lot of the actors come out after the show into the lobby. So please stick around to say hello because I would very much love to thank you for having come and I give you a big hug. All right. Who else do we have here? Tavi G is in the chat with us. We have Grace that's who's in the chat with us saying good morning all. Bucky is here saying that he's in a great mood. Ooh, oh, okay. Yeah, I can understand. Kid Bucky also has something that was lost that has returned. Saying here, I let my girlfriend's cat escape on September 13th, and last night he finally turned up again. Wow, that's quite a number of days. That's quite a number of days indeed before Kitty Cat returned, but happy for a returning kitty. We have Kit Hyper T 007 saying, Bom dia essa quarta-feral tem frio essa manha. I'm going to guess that that's good day and has something to do with it's a little cool or chilly this morning with the frio essa mana. And I do not know what's in between quarta-feira. um, I don't know what that is, but I'm sure Hyperteat will tell us. I like this. I'm getting little Portuguese lessons every morning. We have Kit. Let's see, who else do we have with us? Oh, Kit Elaine announcing that her grandbaby passed the road test yesterday. That's so good. Congratulations, Kit Elaine's grandbaby. You're better than I am. They won't let me have a license because I'm apparently a menace. We have Kit Argosy Acres saying good morning, and I got your message, by the way. Thank you for the kindness, Kit Argosy Acres. I haven't had a chance to respond yet, so I just wanted to acknowledge that I had received it. We have Kit Tabby G with us this morning. Who else? We have the Breens who are here saying morning, damn fam. We have Kit Ill today. We haven't seen you for a while. Good morning to you. Hope you are feeling you're having a good day today. Who else do we have with us? Kit Linda M, the original and the best. Good morning, dear one. Thank you for joining us this day. Quit Swanky Frankie is with us saying happy hump day. And it is indeed happy hump day. And who else do we have? Anybody else? Kit Jen is here saying good morning, darlings. Hello, sweetie. I hope you are doing very, very well. Kit Uncover, of course, I think I mentioned before. Kit Cat W is with us. Kit James is here. Morning to you, good sir. Glad you can join us this morning. I haven't seen you for a few days as well. Kit Nona Carol is here as well, saying good morning. And I believe, is that everyone today? No, Kit Wishful is here, also saying good morning. And I think that might be everyone sliding across the plate. No, I was wrong. Kit Toronto Dan also got in here for a little greeting, saying hello to Jen. Kit Mayhem is here as well. Wow, the whole gang's here this morning. That's so lovely. Let's see. Kit Argosy Acre saying that Libras rock. They sure do. And and then we have a new kit here that says called Jackass Whiskey and Pinto Beans, announcing that they are an intolerant. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it seems that you are new to the Beaver Lodge. Hopefully, uh, you will find something that you enjoy here. So pull up old log and stay a while, and hopefully we will get to know each other, and you will find something good here and add to the conviviality and the amity that is in this group among the DAMFAM, because they're a good group of very supportive people, and it's always nice to add members to our family who share the same mindset. So hopefully that is the case uh, with our newest guest here in the chat, Kit Jackass Whiskey and Pinto Beans. Cool name. Hopefully we have a cool member of the Damn Fam as well. All right, kids and cubs. Well, I think we all know what we're going to talk about today. Yesterday, the Prime Minister did have a meeting with the President of the United States, and I must issue a gentle correction on myself because there were three ministers who attended, and for some reason I said the ministers attending would be Anand Leblanc and Champagne, but it was Anand Leblanc and Jolie, and I had mistakenly stated that Anita Anand was uh, pardon me. Something just went wrong here on my screen. Let me fix that. I'm so sorry. And I had correctly stated that Anita Anand was the Minister of Foreign or Global Affairs. And for some reason, I had doubted myself a little bit because that's the position that Melanie Joly had once had. but Melanie Joly is the Minister of Innovation, Science, and Industry because she left Foreign Affairs because she specifically wanted an economic portfolio because she does have some leadership aspirations later on in her career. And Mark Carney was perfectly happy and willing to accommodate her with that. So we had the Minister of Trade, we had Industry, we had the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and then we had the point person Minister for Trade with the United States specifically, who is now also the Minister point person for Internal Trade as well, after Chrystia Freeland decided to leave cabinet. All there. So my bad for stating that the Minister of Finance, François-Philippe Champagne, was there as well, when that was not the case yesterday. But we like to be transparent on the show, and so we're issuing a gentle correction to ourselves. So the Prime Minister and the President did meet, and yesterday we were wondering, in the spirit of Halloween, if this invitation from the President of the United States for the Prime Minister to come was a trick or, trap or treat rather than trick or treat. And we waited, we held our breath because it could have been anything, even though there were some murmur or chatter through the rumor mill that something like a reduction in tariffs, sectoral tariffs, particularly for steel, could be on the option, or maybe a reduction in the tariffs specifically on fentanyl as they apply specifically to us and Mexico, I think, and that's about it. Um, uh, and It's not really a thing, and therefore it would be easy for the president to make a cut in those. Um, that was the rumors, the things that might have been on the table, but the prime minister's office was really trying to temper expectations. They started a little late doing that, but was trying to temper expectations. Um, and the reason I say that is because Pierre Poilievre uh, tried to set the tone and set the frame for the discussion that was to happen after the meeting with one of his now infamous letters, which I have learned yesterday. It seems that Pierre Poilievre, because I thought, Pierre Poilievre has a lot, and Pierre Poilievre, a lot of them, and Pierre Poilievre really seems to want us to know that he is trying to get the prime minister's attention. Well, turns out it's a thing that he is doing every Sunday. Every Sunday, he is putting out some type of letter at the beginning of the week to try to set the tone for the entire week. And I have to say, it has been rather effective for him, in that a lot of the discussion that then comes from the media are usually centered around how Pierre has framed the debate. So there was a lot of a discussion going into, well, what if you don't come back with anything? What if you don't come back with anything? What if you don't come back with a win? Because Pierre was saying that without any media, like we did, stopping to pause for a second on the irony, the uh, hilarious irony of a man who couldn't negotiate a win for himself in Carleton, telling the prime minister, you need to go and negotiate a win and not come back with another loss. That said, Pierre is someone that has deep and profound expertise in all things related to losing. One could argue he was writing about what he knew. Uh, so rather than going through the letter and determining how it is bullshit and how it is snarky and the tone was completely unhelpful, and once again, Pierre kept on promising, so, we're ready to help at any moment, except that they never do quite help. Though at first they didn't want to help, and now since Prime Minister Mark Carney has become the Prime Minister, they say often that they're willing to be helpful. All you got to do is ask us. But um, in everything else they do, they show the exact opposite, that they don't intend to be helpful at all. And I'm not sure why it is that they need to be asked. If they really wanted to be helpful, they would just be proactive about it. But they're not. So you can tell that this is a setup, and media did take it and ran with it. They made that the frame. Will you come back with a win? Will you come back with a win? Do you have to come back with a win? How important is it for him to come back with a win? Right? That's been the main focus of most of the talk. So, um, unfortunately, uh, as we mentioned, the manner in which the prime minister is doing communications at the moment is allowing for that, and that's another reason. During my discussion with the lady Laura on her show, on the O Show, when she suggested that the prime minister should probably do something like a fire chat every week, 15 to 20 minutes, where he lets us know what the progress of the week is and keeps us abreast of what's going on, might actually be a good idea because. In that context, those fire chats could be the things that set the tone for the week to come, rather than Pierre's weekly Sunday letter or something, which is always snarky and unhelpful and some type of stunt. So it might be something, hopefully. I don't know if there's anybody the in the world of politics that does listen to our show and anybody who's connected with the government. But if that is indeed the case, uh, really, really, really consider uh, the the value of weekly fireside chats. They might be a good thing here. So we have the meeting, and as we mentioned, not sure if it was going to be a trap or a treat because there are lots of things going on in the United States at the moment. The main one at the moment being the shutdown, and that's causing a certain amount of financial turmoil and uncertainty for citizens of the United States. The government is trying to blame everything on the Democrats because the Democrats are fighting to have cuts to Medicaid and medical care programs like Obamacare or the ACA being restored. The Republicans don't want to do it at all, but the Republicans can't pass their continuing resolution um, to keep the government funded without 60 votes in the Senate. And the President of the United States gave the GOP the explicit orders to not negotiate a damn thing whatsoever with the Democrats. So I'm not sure how they plan to pass the continuing resolution, given that there's no way they can get 60 votes if they are not planning to negotiate or even talk to the other party whose votes they need. So they're basically saying, well, we won, so we should be able to get to do what we want, and the Democrats won't vote with us to allow us to gut your health care. So, therefore, it's their fault, rather than the Republicans uh, not realizing that they don't have the votes and still continuing down a path that cannot lead to success for them in terms of getting a continuing resolution passed and therefore it would be their fault, especially since they control both houses and all three branches of government. But uh, if that which passes as the modern conservative movement, both in Canada and the United States these days, spent as much time doing actual work as they do trying to spin situations to make the other person look bad, no matter how ridiculous the spinning appears. I mean, blaming another party for your problems when you control absolutely everything is is interesting as a move, and it's something that's so ridiculous on its face that only uh, the people who do an upside down keg stand to drink to chug the Kool-Aid would buy that because a minimal notion of logic and rationality would make it very clear that this narrative is BS. But a lot of people just want the other team to be the monsters that they need them to be, that they will just buy anything anybody says so long as it makes them look bad. And we have that phenomenon going on in Canada as well, unfortunately. Um, but it's a situation where the United States is, as we keep on saying on the show, punching itself in the dick for no reason and making life much tougher on itself than it needs to be. Um, so we did not know whether or not the president of the United States would be going into this meeting in a foul mood and looking to punch down on us, or going into this meeting in a good mood. And if we were being used as a distraction, as we frequently are with this president, whether it means that something bad would happen to us, which is typically what happens with this president, or whether something good would happen because the president is in such a state that he really needs to be able to point to wins. It would seem based on what happened in the pre-working lunch meeting, that sort of little meeting in the Oval Office that gets a lot of attention when it's President Trump, mainly as a result of what happened to President Zelensky and also President Ramaphosa or Prime Minister Ramaphosa of South Africa when they were in there. The now so-called Oval Office ambushes, whether that was in store for Carney. Now, normally these types of meetings usually take 4 or 5 minutes, right? There's a couple of questions, click, click, some pictures get taken, then everybody gets ushered out of the room. But well, Trump likes to put on a little show, and Trump likes to talk, and Trump likes the media. So often with him, these last 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes a little more, and they tend to be rambling sort of more press conferences than just an opportunity for one or two quick questions going into a meeting, and an opportunity to get some pleasantries between leaders exchanged on the record for everyone to see before they go in behind the curtains or behind closed doors and actually do the tough work of negotiating. Well, based on what happened there, the mood between both leaders is exceptionally good. So it does not appear to be a trap. What are taking a position on Palestine, on recognizing statehood, even though it was probably discussed behind closed doors, doesn't seem to be too much of a problem. That might have to do with the fact that, in addition to supporting the two-state solution, we also very enthusiastically supported the alleged 20-point plan that is currently being studied by the Netanyahu administration and Hamas to try and bring about peace there. It seems to be being discussed a little more seriously than other initiatives, but we're still in a situation where certain people on certain sides are turning around and say, well, we like this, but we don't like this part, we don't like this part. And the part that they don't like is something that the other side absolutely insists on. So even though there seems to be more chatter about it, and it's not and just a one-day idea that pops up and disappears, which could give one some hope. It is still one where people are trying, okay, yeah, this is good, but trying to revise the terms in such a way that the other side would still not find acceptable. So I'm not sure where it will go, but in terms of humoring the president of the United States, who really, really, really wants a Nobel Prize. By the way, the Nobels have started being awarded for this year, this week. And I have a suspicion that the president, even though some people decided to nominate him in the overall sort of like, just send in your potential nominations. I think Netanyahu said that he was going to nominate him. Um, it's probably not going to happen for this guy. Um, on that front, there was a letter going around. I think we might have mentioned it on the show. I'm not sure. Going around allegedly from the Nobel Committee stating that Donald Trump would be forever not considered or eliminated from consideration for a Nobel Peace Prize because he renamed the Department of Defense as the Department of War. That letter, if you've seen it, turns out, according to Snopes, was a hoax. It was not a real thing. So the Nobel Committee never actually put out that directive. It was very, 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 very good satire. A lot of people bought it. I admit I did. I did. So when I found out the news, it was like, oh, okay. Well, they got one over me because I could definitely see the Nobel Committee saying, "Wait, whoa, you renamed the Department of Defense the Department of War and you want a Nobel Peace Prize, dude? No." But then I have to remember that the Nobel Committee, I'm sure, is a very, I believe the word for it would be August group. I'd have to check that to make sure I am using that term correctly in terms, Yes, respected and impressive. Yes, yes. So a rather august group of people, and probably not prone to wanting to make a big public PR move and spike the ball in such a way. And I probably should have considered that first. Uh, but yeah, it was good satire, and it got me. So, just in case I happen to have mentioned it on the show, another gentle correction to myself on that one. So yes, the vibe of the meeting was good. Everybody breathed a big sigh of relief afterwards. However, when it comes to having something firm, a tangible win, something we can point to and say we have achieved this, as is typical with this president, who we've sometimes referred to as President Jello, or the Jell-o president, because trying to get him to commit to absolutely anything is like nailing Jell-o to a wall. We came up with the exact same situation yesterday. Warm, cordial relations between both leaders, with sunshine being blown up certain butts, uh, and or smoke, as one would call it. I saw some tweet there that it would have to be some really high grade type of smoke, maybe hydroponic, in order to get Trump to be in a good mood. It would have to at least be that to get him to unclench somewhat. Um, but yeah, lots of smoke being blown up butts, lots of compliments and praise. Prime Minister Carney once again being very selective with words, brought back transformative again, um, and uh, definitely engaged in some flattery, which seems to be uh, the latest event in the political Olympics, or the political decathlon. Trump flattering. You have to do the requisite Trump flattering and ego inflating in order to be able to even be heard. And it seems that the prime minister has understood this and can read the room. And while, and like I say, positive, it's definitely positive in the sense that um, Donald Trump uh, had nothing but nice things to say about Canada, some really nice things to say about Canada, actually, some really nice things to say about our leader, um, even some things that could give the impression, if you were taking it extremely literally, um, that is like, did Trump just really put himself on a lower stage than the Prime Minister of Canada? It was like some very curious moves for a man who's definitely a narcissist who likes to get attention. But when all was said and done, when we walked out of that room and when the day was over, it was nothing more firm than, I think Canada will be very, very happy. With what? And that we still do not know specifically. Um, there was no press event scheduled by the prime minister going into this meeting that would take place at past working lunch. If there had been a firm announcement that we are doing this thing, I'm sure there might have been one scheduled, but there was not. At some point, Reuters had reported that Prime Minister had left the White House, and there was no extra press conference there, so we were not going to be hearing more from the Prime Minister on that day, which is a shame. We did hear more from Dominic Leblanc, the minister, point person for trade with the United States in terms of cabinet. Our point person is our ambassador, but along with him as well. Uh, and he did give a little bit of hint of where it is that they were working on sectors, but again, had nothing firm to announce. But post meeting, he was the one that gave us a bit of an update, and we just got a little bit of insight into something. But again, most of that press conference was again just um, answering questions in such a way that you can when you don't really have anything firm to announce and you're also in the mid of negotiation and you do not want to negotiate in public. So, uh, again, lots of reassurance that things are on the right track and that there might be something soon that can be announced. Um, Things so going on the right track that both Mr. LeBlanc and Mr. Carney stayed overnight uh, in the United States and in Washington, D.C. to keep talking. It would seem that both leaders during the meeting were happy enough with what was going on that they had both given the directives to their teams to keep talking and speed things up in order to be able to hammer out some type of agreement on the areas in which they are considering having some movement to happen sooner rather than later. But all we have is a inkling of the overall sectors in which there might be some action, which is, I believe, steel, aluminum, and energy, and that's it. No specific what, no ballpark areas of an amount if we're talking about reductions in tariffs, no firm idea as to when soon can be, soon as in 1 week or soon as in a month or two. Um, w- like nothing. Just absolutely nothing. It's just this, once again, an amorphous blob of gelatin that can't be nailed to a wall and on which you cannot, um, you know, hook your coat or your hat to get any sense of stability and predictability. Only this general feeling that there will be some improvement of some kind, perhaps in steel, aluminum, and something having to do with energy coming in a really undefined, not even a hint of when version of soon. So ultimately, um, sat unsatisfying, extremely unsatisfying. Not that we're surprised, given the current president, who basically the political equivalent of Mariah Carey, rather than just singing one note and holding it, does a run where they sing all the notes in the scale all over. President, every position and its opposite is typically his thing. We'll do this, but maybe not, or we could do this, or it could be that, or it could be this, or it could be, it's just this type of um, vague, mushy talk that just lets you know that everything is possible, uh, but nothing has been decided yet, and we don't know when, but it's coming. And always that something's coming, and that something's coming soon. That's a trademark of Trump as well. Ever the marketer and a reality TV person. It's coming. It's coming soon. Stay tuned. And then most of the time, nothing comes. So, um, but there's a lot of trying to get you hooked and waiting with bated breath, with very little result. Um, Now, there is a bit of a the tone, the change in tone has been noticed. Mike Crawley from CBC News wrote a piece called "Trump's Tone Toward Canada is Suddenly More Positive. What's up with that? Talks of mutual love between both countries praises Canada as a very strong leader." So, uh, the article goes, US President Donald Trump spoke more positively about Canada on Tuesday than he has at any time since winning the election last November. But whether that signals any imminent relief to punishing tariffs remains to be seen. During a 32-minute appearance in the Oval Office with Prime Minister Mark Carney, Trump talked of mutual love between the two countries, acknowledged Canada's work in tackling fentanyl, and praised Carney as a, quote, very strong, very good leader. Clearly, those are just words and don't equate to an actual change in policy. Yet, in comparison with his previous tirades against Canada as being unfair to the US on trade, his stubborn insistence that his country doesn't need any of Canada's major exports, and his frequent straight faced calls for Canada to become the 51st state, Trump's approach towards his northern neighbor this time seemed almost warm. Kellyanne Shaw, a senior trade advisor to Trump during his first term, saw encouraging signs in the exchanges between Trump and Carney during the open to reporters portion of their meeting. Quote, I spent a lot of time with the president in his meetings with world leaders and frankly heard him talk very openly about the dynamic with the previous prime minister, and this was as positive of a tone as I've seen him take with anyone, Shaw told CBC News. Flavio Volpe, the Canadian president of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association and a fierce critic of Trump's trade war, also noticed the shift. Quote, he spoke differently about Canada, said Volpe. He did appear to be, maybe subconsciously, elevating the status of Canada as a competitor. On the auto sector specifically, Trump struck a more moderate tone than he has over the past 9 months. While describing Canada and the US as competing in the auto market, he appeared to suggest the industry's success is of mutual interest to both countries. Quote, it's a tough situation because we want to make our cars here, Trump said. At the same time, we want Canada to do well making cars, so we're working on formulas, and I think we'll get there. And that part, we're working on formulas, is something that does. There were little moments in the press conference where you can take little hints and stuff. And if they're working on formulas, again, it does seem that would give one the impression that over these past months that there have been talks and talks have indeed been progressing. And when the Canadian government has said we have been making progress, but not wanting to talk about what type of progress, that this was indeed real because if at the point they're at the point now that they are trying to put together formulas, whether they be either for quotas or they could be because there's a lot of hint in the discussions about we might be moving to some type of quota system, which is similar to when the United States complains to us on supply management for dairy, saying there are quotas, there are duties of 400% on stuff, but yeah, but only after you reach a certain quota, which the United States has never reached. And this could be a certain situation, um, you know, claim that there are still tariffs based on quota-based tariffs, and then try to have those quota levels set at a level such that those tariffs they exist in theory, but probably never would kick in. So that still allows Trump to appear like a tough person because the tariffs are still in place, but still would smooth out um, the economic activity situation between the two countries because uh, while they still exist, the number would never actually be hit and is not at risk of being hit. And so for things like lumber, for example, that would definitely be beneficial to the United States, allowing Trump to retain his tough guy status, but without the prices of houses going up by several thousands of dollars because the lumber required to build them is now 45% more expensive than it was before. And that would be the case with those extra 10% going on. Lumber would go about to 45.6% or something of the kind. And that's the US that pays that. And on lumber specifically, the United States doesn't have the forests that it needs in order to supply all of its demand. So it does have to import from somewhere. So in this one, the United States continually, well, imposing the rates on lumber, but then continuing to increase them is again itself punching itself in the dick. And eventually there will be industry pressure on that front, and there will have to be some type of either pullback or compensation. We were talking about the soybean farmers yesterday and saying that compensation could be about $10 billion worth. Um, Yesterday, some news clips that I had been listening to were pegging that at actually between 15 and 50 billion dollars. And of course, the auto sector has also been complaining to Donald Trump. I think Ford specifically stated it was facing about a $2 billion headwind based on tariffs at the moment. So these things do need to be resolved in such a way. Yes, uh, formulas that calculate how much we can put in or how much tariffs kick in at a certain amount that still keep, for example, for auto manufacturing, the auto manufacturers in Japan now have a better deal than auto manufacturers in America have to make cars that would be sold in America. So there are going to have to be some changes brought along there as well. So, all these adjustments that Trump has to make along the way as his conflicting policies have unintended consequences. And the longer this goes, the more the impacts are being felt and the less that corporations are able to eat them or hide them away from the public. As we mentioned, I think American consumers are facing a tariff rate on average of 17.4% on all goods, which is the largest tax increase in U.S. history, one-time tax increase in U.S. history, causing many American households to spend about $2,300 more this year than they did last year on the same amount of goods. So it really is affecting the United States, and at some point, the pressure from within is going to become a little too much. And what we are doing as Canada is hopefully waiting for that situation to materialize, which again, for us, is unsatisfying, and as a government, unsatisfying to be able to go out and tell people, just wait. I know it's hard now, but just wait. You'll see. At some point, it's going to be too tough on the United States, and they'll be coming back to us. But and particularly, and midterms are coming as well, and they will have to make adjustments if they want to get reelected. But midterms are still another year away. That's a long time to be in this particular holding pattern with not much else to say than just hold tight, wait, you'll see. It's very unsatisfying for a government, right? Like to be able to say, yes, okay, the steel tariffs that are at 50%, they're now being reduced to 30%, which is not ideal, but 30%, if that's stable and predictable, we can deal with that. We can work with that. We can find ways, so long as we know that that's the game. And 30 is certainly much better than 50, but it's way worse than what we had before, right? So it's things of the like that we are waiting to try to get some details, because if the prime minister could have come back yesterday and said, yeah, okay, steel tariffs dropped from 50 to 30, and let's say the fentanyl tariffs are gone, or they've been released in half. They've been cut in half because the president seems to be expressing some satisfaction with the work that we've been doing so far. You can come back and you can point to those and you can claim those as a win as a government. And you can go to Skippy, hey, here, in your face, eat this. Because now we had the best deal ever. And now when it comes to these sectoral tariffs that apply all around the world, well, we've got the best deal on that too. Suck it. Right? But that's not what we got. Ay, 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 ay. Whether and when they will actually get there remains. So hold on. Let's make this. I think I skipped a paragraph here. Yes, indeed. So yeah, we spoke about Flavio Volpe saying he spoke differently about Canada. He did appear to maybe subconsciously elevating the status of Canada as a competitor. On the auto sector specifically, I'm having trouble with my tongue today. Let's try that again. On the auto sector specifically, Trump not stuck, struck. Third time's a charm. On the auto sector specifically, Trump struck a more moderate tone than he has over the past 9 months. While describing Canada and the US as competing in the auto market, he appeared to suggest the industry's success is of mutual interest to both countries. Quote, it's a tough situation because we want to make our cars here, Trump said. At the same time, we want Canada to do well making cars, so we're working on formulas, and I think we'll get there. Whether and when they'll actually get there remains huge questions. A shift in Trump's tone without a shift in tariffs means nothing to Canada's struggling auto, steel, aluminium, and lumber industries. Still, Trump hinted that something is in the works. Asked whether Canada will be walking away empty-handed from Tuesday's visit, Trump responded, quote, we have a lot of things that we're working on. I think they're going to walk away very happy. And that's all we got. Trump's praise for Carney in the meeting was effusive, bordering on lavish. Quote, I can tell you this because I deal with lots of leaders all over the world. He's a world-class leader, said Trump. He's a good man. He does a great job, but he's a tough negotiator. He continued, I think he's a great prime minister. I mean, he could represent me anytime. That is definitely from Trump a status that is elevating our prime minister. Carney responded to that by making a scribbling gesture with his right hand, telling reporters, write that down. It's both easy and risky to make too much of the personal relationship between the two world leaders as it appears in front of the cameras. However, experts who watch Trump closely have observed that personal relationships matter a great deal to him and actually influence his political thinking. Quote, the president tends to be very relational, and there tends to be more progress in relationships when there's genuine chemistry, said Shaw. She says it's preferable for Trump's perspective to get along with Carney and says the prime minister is smart to try to cultivate that. Quote, I think that things are trending in the right direction. They just take time, said Shaw. Some possible evidence of that trend, the closed doors portion of the meeting concluded with Trump and Carney, quote, directing their cabinet ministers to quickly land deals focused on steel, aluminium, and energy, Canada U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc told reporters on Tuesday afternoon. The problem with that statement for us as Canadians, however, is they have made this this directive has been given before to quickly land a deal. I mean, there was, Pierre keeps on saying that the prime minister promised it would be done by this day. I'm not sure that's exactly the exact correct verb to be used in that sentence, but there was a goal of July 21st, and then there was another goal sometime in August, and well, yeah, though Pierre wants to blame entirely the prime minister for those deadlines being missed, it really does seem at a minimum that it was a mutual agreement that we were blowing past these deadlines and not a Canada thing alone. So there have been alleged directives to cabinet ministers to quickly land deals. And those quickly landed deals did not happen. So, again, it is positive that the directive was done, but based on past performance, the directive doesn't really mean anything, sadly. I wish I could say that was the case, but maybe this time is the time that it does as well, right? Having a directive is better than having no directive, but we're in a fool me once, fool me twice, fool me thrice situation here. LeBlanc said he and the rest of the Canadian trade team are staying in Washington for those talks, which he said could begin as soon as yesterday evening. While no one, including LeBlanc, is predicting the outcome with any certainty, it's the first sign of movement on the steel and aluminium tariffs since Trump doubled them to 50% in June. So there you go. And we have some images here from a CBC here showing the President of the United States, J.D. Vance, and Marco Rubio in a clear sight, and all of them sharing some good laughs, having a good time. Here are the caption under it, saying the overall tone of the visit was positive, as seen by Carney, Trump, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio sharing a laugh. And photo credit to Evan Vucci of the Associated Press here on that one. So, kids and cubs, that's basically where things stand. To give you a little taste, if you will, there's a couple of clips here. I've got some timestamps from the actual session, and I think you will, if you didn't get to watch it, you will get a bit of a sense that we mean here when we talk about just the overall sort of good vibes that were going on at the time. So here, got a quick clip here for how things start with, and you will see already getting off right from the get-go with a good tone and the compliments coming early for the Prime Minister from the President of the United States. So everything is good for sharing the screen. Let's go to it.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to have the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, who I have made very popular. He's an extremely popular Prime Minister, and I'm very honored to do it because I liked him right from the beginning. I've liked him, and we've had a good relationship. We have some natural conflict, but we will probably work that out. but we've had a very strong relationship. And your hosting of the various countries that showed up, that was a beautiful job you did, and I appreciate it very much. We're going to be talking about trade. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things. We'll certainly be talking about Gaza. We're in very serious negotiations to, I guess you could say, depending on the way you count, 3,000 years. You could say 500 years. You could say, but it's been raging for a long time. And I think there's a possibility that we could have peace in the Middle East. It's something even beyond the Gaza situation. We want a release of the hostages immediately, etc. And so our team is over there now. Another team just left, and other countries, literally every country in the world has supported the plan.
Yep.
I don't think there's anybody that hasn't, actually, not that I've seen. But there's a real chance that we could do something, so you may have some questions on that later. But in the meantime, we'll spend some time and we'll make some deals and we'll do some things that are good for both of our countries. And Mark, it's an honor to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. If I may, you kindly hosted me and some of my colleagues a few months ago, and I said at the time, you are a transformative president. And since then, the transformation in the economy, unprecedented commitments of NATO partners to defense spending, peace from India, Pakistan through to Azerbaijan, Armenia, disabling Iran as a force of terror, and now, and I'm running out of time, but this is in many respects the most important.
The merger of Canada and the United States.
That wasn't where I was going. On this solemn day of commemoration of the horrific attacks of October 7th, for the first time in decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years, this prospect of peace that you've made possible. Canada stands foursquare behind those efforts, and we'll do whatever we can to support them.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Any questions?
What would it take for you to drop or lower your tariffs on Canadian sectors, including aluminum and steel?
Well, we're going to be talking about that with the Prime Minister. We'll be talking about tariffs. We'll be talking about a lot of that, but that's for a little bit later on.
Has the Prime Minister
I want to just acknowledge our great ambassador. Is he doing a good job?
He's doing a good job.
Otherwise, I'll get him out of there so fast.
All right. So in that that quick little bit there, you will notice lots of opportunities for the Prime Minister to take the bait, particularly at the end. Is our ambassador doing a good job? The Prime Minister definitely lied, saying that the ambassador is doing a good job, because or else I'll get him out of here so fast. And I'm thinking, please, could you? I'm sure the Prime Minister probably had that thought. Could you? Really? Darn, maybe I shouldn't have said he was doing such a good job. But yeah, that probably wouldn't have been the opportunity to take a swing there right now, after he had said such nice things about the Prime Minister in the opening. You will also notice that the Prime Minister, in his intervention, like said, blowing a lot of sunshine up Trump's backside, particularly mentioning, things that Trump believes that he had a role in then bringing about peace, whether he did or not. Saying it to Trump to his face certainly makes him feel good, particularly since it's Nobel Week. So very strategic from the Prime Minister on that front as well. But and then the first question coming in again about the tariffs, are we looking at lowering tariffs? And Trump hinting in the answer that indeed there is some looking at that, but that's what remains to be discussed here on the day. So good stuff there to start off the meeting. Then we get into the next question, which was really interesting, had to deal with the furloughed workers and whether or not they would get back pay. So the very second question of that sort of scrum or media availability went to a domestic issue, which I find really interesting. I mean, in a way, not because it is the United States and to them they are the center of the universe, but when you have had this trade irritant and this story going on for so long, that right away, right in the second question, that there would be journalists there in a meeting with another head of state, well, not head of state, sorry, government leader of a G7 nation, and not wanting to ask a question about that. Okay. Um, we get to a second answer here on where the president is framing the relationship between Canada and the United States and asks for a little bit of input from Howard Lutnick. Sorry, keep on making that mistake. And you can hear here, you can hear here in the answer from Lutnick how he really, really, really does not go outside of the predetermined lines of the sandbox he's allowed to play in, and basically simply mirrors and parrots the president of the United States. He doesn't actually add anything of his own, just um, is a dutiful echo to what the president of the United States has just said. So let's take a little look at that clip, kids.
In your opinion, why has Canada and the United States failed an agreement up until now?
Well, it's a complicated agreement, more complicated maybe than any other agreement we have on trade, because we have natural conflict. We also have mutual love. We have great love for each other. I love this. I love Canada, the people of Canada, and Mark feels the same way about here. The problem we have is that they want a car company and I want a car company, meaning the U.S. wants a car company, and they want steel and we want steel. So in other countries, they're very far away, and there's no problem. You can compete and you can do. We don't like to compete because we sort of hurt each other when we compete. And so we have a natural conflict. It's a natural business conflict, nothing wrong with it. And I think we've come a long way over the last few months, actually, in terms of that relationship. So when it comes to trade, the United States was always giving everything. They gave everything to Canada. They would let car companies leave here and go to Canada. But that hurts the United States. And, other presidents didn't see that. They weren't business oriented. They might have been good politicians in some cases, not in all cases. They were bad at both. But it's a very natural conflict, and it's something that we're working on.
Canada has offered a lot of compromise this summer. Are you willing today to offer some compromise to Canada, maybe on steel, on aluminum?
Well, we've made compromise, and we've made some compromise even on steel. But, we have the same basic authority and the same basic, this could be also a little bit of a conflict with other countries all over the world on steel, because we want to make our own steel. We don't want to bring steel in for the most part, but we will bring it in, and we do bring it in. We continue to bring it in from Canada, but there is a tariff to pay. And I think that would be a normal thing to say, but we've come a long way. I think, Howard, we can truly say, do you want to make a comment on that?
Well, I think the opportunity to work together, but as you've said, there's conflict. Why do we make cars in Canada? You've called that out, and you've addressed that. So there are places we should work together, and there are places that we have natural conflict.
It's a tough situation because we want to make our cars here. At the same time, we want Canada to do well making cars. So we're working on formulas, and I think we'll get there.
All right. So as you can hear there, kids and cubs, Howard Lutnick definitely, the thing, as you said, and, they're making cars there, and right, definitely did not go out of the sandbox whatsoever. In that answer, you see one of the examples of the things that I say about Trump saying everything and its opposite, saying, we don't want to bring steel in, but we do bring it in, and we will be bringing it in. Right? We don't want to, but we are, and we will. So, in other words, don't say we don't want to. Just say that we need to, and therefore we need to have, conditions that are acceptable to us for that. But again, saying everything and its opposite, another very thing, characteristic of the Jell-o president, in there, saying, admitting, a lot of people probably didn't pick it up on the press, but Trump saying that the United States has been making compromises in the negotiations, because all the talk in Canada is, well, we rescinded the digital service tax, and we removed some counter tariffs, and what did we get in return? Nothing. Well, Trump seems to be indicating here in that answer that we did get some things. We did get some compromises as a result. They just necessarily weren't announced, but we did get some compromises. On the subject of the counter tariffs, by the way, there was some news coming out last week that we removed the counter tariffs that were on non-CUSMA compliant items, but then it seems that quietly we removed even more counter tariffs on a couple of things, and there was no real answer for that given. And we found out yesterday during the coverage that the reason for it is that when they removed the counter tariffs, they did an evaluation of all the counter tariffs, and there were a few of them that were in place in that package that were costing us more to administer than we were gaining from them. So we removed those as well, because the objective is, if this is going to be a protracted fight, that we have negative impact on Canadians as much as possible. And since tariffs are things that are paid by the citizens of the country that impose the tariffs, these were making costs more expensive for Canadians and not having the impact needed in the United States. So why do them? Which is a very reasonable reason, just like removing counter tariffs from goods that are not. That are CUSMA compliant, because the United States did so and we want to match them. That's also very smart or understandable, but you have to sit down and explain it. You have to take the time to explain that. And whereas the first one, you know, about the CUSMA compliant products was put out into the public sphere, because I'm aware of it, and I was able to bring that to you, but it wasn't really discussed at length. It was just mentioned a couple of times, and with the additional counter tariffs, there was no public explanation given at all. It was just through an aside during a reporting made by David Cochran yesterday that I picked that up, and it's like, oh, that's why that was done. Okay. But there was no real public explanation given on that. That's something that this government needs to do a little better on its communications. You have to share absolutely everything and the why, and you have to do it more than once. You can notice that in that statement that Trump made a couple of statements about the past, that a lot of people let a lot of countries take advantage of the United States, and maybe Canada was one of them. And Prime Minister Carney just deciding to let that little piece of not necessarily truth sail by, not swing at every pitch. Just let the president talk when he goes into a rambling mode, unless you are asked to. There's nothing good that can come from correcting him in public. And, so while a lot of Canadians might be at home going, hey, why didn't he intervene there? There's no point. There's no point, and it's not constructive. In this whole 32 minutes, the prime minister barely spoke at all. It literally was all Trump taking questions for the most part, and rambling on. And there were certain questions that had nothing to do with the fact that they were meeting in this 32-minute thing, because, well, Trump does have a lot going on where he is. A lot of it through his own doing, right? Situations that he's created for himself and messes he's created for himself. But a lot of the questions had to do with that. But you will notice in that answer, Trump also speaking of mutual love between the nations, and that we are competing in certain sectors, so there's some natural conflict. So not anything that terrible that Canada is doing to the United States, and that makes us worthy of some type of retaliation. It's just natural conflict because we're in the same area and there's lots of mutual love. That is not at all the vibe that we were getting from Donald Trump prior to this. Uh, Now, in the next question, Donald Trump is specifically asked about the lack of Canadians going to the United States. And this is how he decides to handle this one. This immediately after an answer in which he says that there's a lot of mutual love. So, you can kind of look at of that question. Well, if there's a lot of mutual love, we're not seeing the love because the Canadians are not coming. What do you think about that? So let's see how the Prime Minister, not the Prime Minister, the President of the United States handles that particular question.
Canadians are refusing to go to the U.S. The numbers are down like 23% in the first 7 months of the year. What do you say to Canadians that don't want to go to the U.S. now because of your 51st state talk, because of the trade war, the tariffs, and the fear of also being detained at the border?
And Americans don't want to buy cars that are made in Canada. I mean, we have the same conflict. So there isn't. It's something that will get worked out. There's still great love between the two countries, but American people want product here. They want to make it here. Detroit was emptied out and moved to Canada, moved to Mexico, moved to other places, not just Canada. And now they're all moving back, they're moving back. We have, right now, I was just telling Mark, we have 17 trillion, but it's really much higher. That was as of a couple of months ago. We have over $17 trillion being invested now in the United States. As an example, Biden, he was the worst president we've ever had, but they had less than 1 trillion in 4 years. We have more than 17 trillion in 8 months. 8 months. And I think that number is going to be $21, $22 trillion. There's never been anything like that in the history of the world for any country, not even close. If you did 1 trillion in a year, that's pretty good. We're going to do over 20. And it's coming in with AI, it's coming in with auto plants. We're building auto plants, a lot of auto plants in the US. It's coming in for a lot of reasons. It's coming in because of the fact, I think the November 5th election was a big factor, and I think the tariffs are a big factor. And again, we want Canada to do great, but there's a point at which we also want the same business. We're competing for the same business. That's the problem. That's why I keep mentioning one way to solve that problem is a very easy way, but we're competing for the same business. He wants to make cars, we want to make cars, and we're in competition. And the advantage we have is we have this massive market. So it's quite an advantage.
So on this one, I want to go back a couple of seconds, and I want you to just look at the Prime Minister's body language and face on this one. Not going to place any volume on it, but right here when Trump says there's a way to solve this and it's the easy way means Canada joining the United States as the 51st state. So just take a look at this clip in about 3 or 4 seconds, what the Prime Minister's face does on the mention of that. So just a quick little look aside and go, So the Prime Minister, as mentioned, and that's one of the things that came up a while ago, is the Prime Minister smiling too much? Is the Prime Minister wink too much in these types of things when Donald Trump says stuff? But that's his subtle way of letting us know, okay, I'm just letting him talk now. So again, the president mentioning again here in this answer about how we are competing for different things, and I want you to keep a pin in that, because the Prime Minister, on one of the few times that he does talk, will actually address this specifically, or try to put a different frame on not so much competing, but something else, trying to make it softer in terms of the dynamic, because David Cochrane put it very well in his comments yesterday is that the President of the United States sees the world in three groups: competitors, customers, and suppliers. Right? So Canada is a competitor in certain markets, and we might have to slowly and delicately change his view of us in these markets as not a competitor, but maybe a partner instead, which was the note that David Cochrane made. Competitors, clients, or customers and suppliers, but never, ever, ever partners. Donald Trump never addresses anybody as a potential partner. And so, if we could get him to view us differently on that front, that could generate some results for us. All right. Moving on to the next bit, you will notice that there's a lot of yelling and screaming from the press pool that was there. It is a bit of a cacophonous mess in this. And I think this is something that the President of the United States really enjoys, having people yelling and yelling and competing for his attention, then getting to put the finger and go, "You, I have chosen you to ask a question." But it makes for a somewhat unruly session. Not that these types of sessions are particularly ruly, especially again when you're talking about President Donald Trump. But sometimes, if you are listening, especially on the podcast version, you will hear lots of sort of like yelling and shouting and a whole bunch of voices jumbled up between the questions until the president actually takes one. And so, audio-wise, it's a little trickier here. Um, on this one, the President of the United States does something really interesting in that because he loves to talk, uh, in this one, he actually asks specifically for a question to be directed to the Prime Minister because he seems to have been aware that he has been talking most of the time, which is not a move that we frequently see. The President of the United States wanting to share the stage with another leader, unless it's Putin. But here we go.
And if the governor can't straighten it out, we'll straighten it out. Thank you. A question for the president.
Do you remain committed to?
Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to know how come the UK and the European Union have succeeded to sign deals and bring the tariffs down, and Canada still hasn't been able to do the same?
Yeah, because they're not located right next to each other. It makes it. In many cases, it's much better and easier. But
yeah, and if I may, let's be clear about the relationship as it stands right now. We are the second largest trading partner of the United States. We do a lot of trade going across the border where we're cooperating, first thing. Secondly, we are the largest foreign investor in the United States. $500 billion in the last 5 years alone, probably $8 trillion in the next 5 years if we get the agreement that we expect to get. Thirdly, there are areas, as the president just said, where conflict, maybe not so much conflict, we compete. There are areas where we compete, and it's in those areas where we have to come to an agreement that works. But there are more areas where we are stronger together, and that's what we're focused on. And we're going to get the right deal for America, right deal, obviously, from my perspective, for Canada.
Okay, so you will notice here how the Prime Minister very deftly handles this one. The question was originally coming for the Prime Minister. The President had a thought immediately and decided to express it, so sort of preempt the Prime Minister. And the answer, Prime Minister said, "If I may," because sort of gentle way of reminding Donald Trump, you did ask a question for me. And the Prime Minister does come in with certain elements in his answer. One of them, a little aside in there, if we get the deal that we expect, which is a turn of phrase that would let us in Canada know that the previous discussions, when we said that there was progress, clearly there was progress, because if there is a deal that we the kind of deal that we expect, it would seem that there's been a lot of discussions, a lot of progress, and that the Canadian side is starting to get a clearer sense of what the situation will be, even though it has not been made public, so much so as that there might be some expectations based on the expectations created based on the discussions to date. So that's a little subtle way of letting us know that there is progress without spiking the football in the end zone and drawing a lot of attention. So that little part of the answer caught my ear. And you will also notice that the Prime Minister tried to make the shift from saying that we have natural conflict, that our competition is natural conflict. Saying, no, not natural conflict, but we do compete in certain areas. However, there are many areas in which we are stronger together. And you hear Trump turn around and say, that's true. And that's what I'm saying, that shift to trying to get him to look at us as a partner that could help him in achieving his economic goals for his nation, while not having to throw us into the volcano in order to do it, uh, might be the better approach. And it seems the Prime Minister has definitely picked up on that, and that it would be resonating enough for the President of the United States to instinctively and reflexively say, that's true. You will notice in a previous answer as well, I think, where the President of the United States made a 51st state joke while the Prime Minister was answering, saying, adding, and the merger of US and Canada. Uh, but if you, there was a little bit of cacophonous noise afterwards with the reaction to that, with the laughter it generated. But the President of the United States did specifically said, I'm kidding, which is the first time the President of the United States has said, I'm kidding. And the reaction of the Prime Minister there was, well, that's not where I was going with that when he said it. So, it's still popping up, but not so much in the threatening way it was before. But he's still holding to that bit a little bit. But that was the first time that he's ever said it in a manner that actually maybe perhaps sounded like it was indeed a joke, rather than something he seriously meant. Because any time that anybody has ever talked and said, "Well, it's just a joke," and you take a joke, it's like, ah, it doesn't feel like a joke. That one felt more like a joke, a genuine joke. And you can tell by the way that the laughter was instantaneous, pretty much from everyone there. And had that been the first time and it had never been mentioned before, we probably all would be laughing, given everything that happened before. Uh, you know, Even though the president did turn around and said, just joking, and the prime minister was able to deflect it deftly, as he has many times before. Um, that one, uh, without all the history, could have landed indeed as a joke if it was a first time. But with everything else, I can perfectly understand why there's a couple of people who's uh, who would have clenched a little tighter upon hearing that. Go, But again, Prime Minister, very, very, very good at being able to um, non-confrontationally uh, deflect from some mentions, like he did last time, right? Where the president was saying it and the prime minister was making head gestures. No, 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 it's not going to happen. Like this, and actually said specifically not going to happen, and made the joke about certain pieces of real estate that will never be for sale, like the White House, for example, and getting Donald Trump to say, well, yeah, that's true again then. So, uh, the prime minister definitely knows how to handle the situation when that is brought to the fore. The next question that we get has a little bit to do with the Golden Dome. As we've mentioned before, the government of Canada has indicated publicly that it is willing to consider um, discussing it, right? And but hasn't necessarily committed to joining. You will hear some wording here, I believe, from the President of the United States that kind of gives the impression that we are joining. We are not. Dominic LeBlanc made that very, very clear in his press conference that followed as well. But when the president speaks a lot, it's for domestic consumption, and a Golden Dome is a thing that he's pushing. And even though it is highly improbable that not only would that it would even work, but that it could happen in the way that at least Donald Trump would like it or is talking about it, he is still going to mention it because the tough president that's tough on national defense and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, he's going to keep on putting it out there. It's the new build the wall in such a way, even though he's not hammering at as much. But yeah, Golden Dome seems to be a big thing, but it's a project that's so many years away that there's nothing for us. There's nothing for us to lose by saying that we would agree to talk about it and not commit to it. Almost a bit like the F-35s, where a lot of people were expecting last week at some point there would be a decision day on whether or not we were going to keep up our order with the F-35s or just say that the few that we have already ordered and that are in production we will take, and we will be moving to the Gripen on others. Turns out that we have decided to not make a decision yet because we still have time, which is unsatisfying, again, particularly for those of us who would like to see us stick it to the United States and say, fine, we're not taking your crappy planes anyway. I mean, even you yourselves, the United States, have reduced your initial order, so how good can it be? We're going elsewhere, because that would create a great moment of catharsis. But if we're that close to getting certain sectoral tariffs reduced, and we've already waved the red flag in front of the bull a little bit with our support for two-state solution and Palestinian statehood, even though we are tempering that by expressing full support for the 20-point peace plan as well. This might be not the right time to make the announcement that we're not going with the F-35. Right? So strategically, it might be wise for the Prime Minister to say, we'll announce the decision once I have decided. And I don't feel the need to announce a decision relatively quickly. If the planes are not anywhere near being close to being delivered, because there are any delays, and we do not need to sign a contract with another nation rapidly, or at least before we settle stuff on some of these trade negotiations with the United States, so as to not anger the bull. We can wait. So it would seem to me that that's a part of the stuff that's going on there with the F-35's decision. Why take the risk, right? Why put ourselves out there with that type of statement so early if there is potentially no benefit coming our way as a result of making that decision? So we probably won't hear about the F-35 decision for some time yet. I would assume, given this strategy from the Prime Minister. Again, very unsatisfying for us, and particularly those of us who would like to stick it to the United States or would like to get a firm decision on that question, because it's been lingering for a long time. And I'm sure it won't probably be delayed too long. But if we are not going to go with the United States on this one, it might be a better idea to secure a few wins, lock in a few things before we make that announcement, especially since there's nothing pressing that requires it at the moment. So let's take a look. Golden Dome and other matters, and see what it is how that subject was handled.
Including one thing that, wait. So one thing where we are working very closely is the Golden Dome. That's the protective mechanism, and you see how that works. It's unbelievable. Ronald Reagan wanted to have it And at that time, they didn't have the technology, and even close to the technology. But he was advanced, and we'll be working together on a Golden Dome for the two countries, and it's something that I think is going to be very important, especially when you look at the world, you look at what's happening. We want to have that protection. It's really amazing. The technology is unbelievable.
So there you go. Again, the Prime Minister just acquiescing a little bit that it is something that we are looking at. But this was a Golden Dome was not necessarily prompted by a question or anything. You heard that there was just this cacophonous mess, and that the president decided that he needed to add that in to that particular time into the conversation. The next place we are going to in this press conference is a question asked by a journalist about what Canada can expect at the end of these talks.
Mr. President, will Canada be leaving empty-handed, or will will Mr. Carney be leaving Washington with a deal on tariffs?
I think they're going to be very happy. We have a lot of things that we're working on that people don't talk about. They talk about, competitiveness. She's a very competitive person. And they talk about things that we don't necessarily agree on. But I think they're going to walk away very happy. I think so.
So there, Canada, I think they will walk away very happy. Again, if we build on the two elements that we heard, so far we haven't heard this in the press conference, but we saw it in the newspaper article that they are working on formulas that Prime Minister said the deal that we expect, if we get the deal that we expect, and there the president saying, I think that Canada will leave very happy. Those are three things that we are that give us an insight to where the state of the negotiations are specifically, and there seemed to be no negative body language or contradictory body language from the Prime Minister on the statement of the President that we would indeed be leaving very happy. So again, hopefully, based on body language and those couple hints that we're picking up, these are good signs. The next part has to deal with the fact that every country has had a minimal tariff imposed upon it, and asking whether or not once the USMCA is renegotiated, whether or not it will include, as is the case for the other agreements, some type of minimal tariff. So here's what we got for you on that, kids and cubs.
On all your trade deals that you've signed, there's been a minimum tariff that countries have got. When USMCA gets renegotiated, do you want a minimum tariff on goods between Canada and the US?
Well, we're going to have tariffs between Canada, and they have them with us. I will say with our farmers, as you know, they went up to as much as 400%, 250, 300, and even one at 401. We found one having to do with a very small product, but it was high. So we've always had tariffs between the two of us, and actually Canada was charging us very high tariffs on our agricultural things, a lot of our agricultural product, and that's one of the things that we talk about for bringing that down. So this is a mutual thing, but we've been charged tariffs. Look, we're the king of being screwed by tariffs, just so you understand. And I'm not talking about with Canada, I'm talking about with countries all over the world. When you look at Europe, when you look at China, when you look at all of the, almost every country charged the U.S., we didn't charge them. Because we were led by stupid people in many cases.
So here, kids and cubs, I want you to pay attention to the Prime Minister of Canada, because the president's going to go on to a little ramble, and you'll see that the Prime Minister of Canada sits there calmly, looks at the President of the United States, lets him know that he's got his attention, but doesn't really intervene, because he's saying a lot of things here that would be lots of opportunities for Canada to jump in and correct the record. But there's no point. So why do it? But you will notice that rather than just, oh, well, there he goes talking again and sort of going off, he remains in an engaged, active listening position, which I'm sure is very much noticed and appreciated by the President of the United States, because if you're delivering a monologue and nobody's listening, then you're just talking to yourself.
Stupid people, they took advantage of our country. They're not taking advantage of us anymore. If you looked at European Union, they're all my friends. I don't blame them. I blame our presidents. I blame our past presidents and, business leaders. But we are the king of countries that have been taken advantage of for many, many years. We've been paying trillions and trillions of dollars and receiving nothing at all. As an example, prior to the deal with Europe, where they pay a lot of money, but they're happy and I'm happy. The deal was good. It's a fair deal, but it wasn't fair. You couldn't put a car into Europe. You couldn't sell your agriculture into Europe. You couldn't do anything. And now we have it so that it's open. We charge them tariffs. We didn't charge them tariffs a car. They charge us tremendous. I said to Angela Merkel once, I said, how many cars have gone to Germany from the United States? And she said, well, I don't believe any. And I said, you're right. You're right. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. And they're paying a fair amount. It's just a fair amount. It's not, I could ask for much more. It's a fair amount. But the United States now is using the same thing that they've used on us. And I just can't believe it's taken presidents so long to do this. And again, we're going to treat people fairly. We're going to especially treat Canada fairly. But I can't believe it's taken so long where we get charged and don't charge them. Japan was a good example. We made a deal with Japan. You saw that one, a deal with Japan. It's a much different deal than we've had in the past. But they would send us millions of cars, no charge. We weren't allowed to send them cars. We sent them no cars. I doubt you had one car go into Japan because we were restricted. They didn't want our cars. Same thing with Europe, same thing with other places. So now all we do now is fairness, but fairness leads us to the most successful country there's ever been. We have some advantages over other countries, and we do have a great market. We have an amazing market. But you know what? If I let this go, if we didn't win this election, if we had these people that were running, that were ruining our country, destroying our country with their open borders and men playing in women's sports and transgender from everybody and windmills all over the place. If we allowed that to go on for another couple of years, we would be, I'm not sure that we'd even have a country.
So you will notice here the extreme restraint on the part of the Prime Minister with regard to how that last question ended, considering that the Prime Minister has a non-binary child, which is not the exact same thing as transgender. But when you get that type of attitude, it's sort of similar ballparks. Let's put it that way. And of course, the Prime Minister not flinching in the least upon that type of mention. You will also notice that in that answer, the President of the United States kind of looks to Carney a couple times, says, right, isn't that right, Mark? Right? To try to get the acquiescence here on certain things that he is saying. Again, the President of the United States doesn't do that with another leader unless there is a level of trust there, unless he has a certain high degree of confidence that the other leader will indeed play along. And that is indeed the case here on such a matter. We move on to the next question. Unfortunately, I forgot to I only took the timestamp and forgot to take the note. I can't ascertain and can't frame it for you before I present it to you as to what it is that we will hear. So I will do it after we hear the clip when I give the commentary on it. But here we go, kids and cubs. Sometimes my notes not as and I apologize for the populist mess here.
By the way, I'm not sure we would have even had a country. And now we have the most successful country in the world. Brian?
Yes, sir. What is your message to Democrats ahead of a next vote to open up the government? The American people are saying, open the damn government. What's your message to them right now?
Well, they're the ones that started it. They're the ones that have it. And it's almost like a kamikaze attack by them. You want to know the truth? This is like a kamikaze attack. They almost, you know, they have nothing to lose. They've lost the elections. They've lost the presidential election in a landslide. I saw the other day where Kamala said this was a very close election. This was one of the biggest sweeps that anybody's ever had. Won the popular vote by millions, won the electoral college by a massive amount. They said, if I got 270, that would be great. But
So basically, going into bragging about his numbers, again, you see the prime minister remaining in an active, engaged listening position. One time, sort of looked at the camera a little bit when he was going after certain of his numbers. But in this answer, again, he says a lot of things that are unkind about some of his colleagues. That are either women or of different races. And of course, the prime minister, again, no point in intervening in that because no good can come of that. And therefore, allows it to happen and lets Trump go on his, I'm the real victim here, and I've always been the real victim here sort of monologue. The next question of interest to us specifically has to do with the tariffs on fentanyl. Sorry, I should have brought myself up there while I was talking there. Have to do with the tariffs on fentanyl. And here, a very important answer by the President of the United States that would seem to indicate that he is getting the message with regard to the investments that we have made on the border. This was right at the beginning of all the tensions and stuff. As you know, kids and cubs, fewer than 1% of the fentanyl that has been caught crossing a U.S. border has come from Canada, and yet we still put a lot of money into indulging the president back during the time when we thought, okay, well, if the president says this is a problem, let's show him that he's addressing the problem and the tariffs will go away. And we found out that that's not the way it was going to work with him. And that, later on, he kept on with it, even though we had taken some action and even reduced the small amount that we had to an even smaller amount, and without mentioning the fact that, well, it is the responsibility of customs officials at the United States to make sure that stuff does not enter their country. It's not our responsibility. And you will notice here that there seems to be a shift from the President of the United States on how he views the situation and how he views Canada's response, which could create an avenue, like we said, of reduction of those specific tariffs. And you will see the Prime Minister intervene in this answer and say some things which are indeed true, but they are being brought up and put to the forefront because it serves us at this time to do this. And again, a slight reframing of our actions on fentanyl as not only being beneficial to the United States, but beneficial to us, and therefore trying to convey to the president that, yes, this is a matter that you care about a lot, and it is one that we also care about a lot, even though the size of the problem is nowhere near the same where we are as is in the United States. Let's take this.
Is the fentanyl crisis over with Canada, with the Canadian border?
Is what?
The fentanyl crisis.
No, it's not over. It's never, I think it's never going to be over, frankly. But Canada's worked hard and they've done a much better job than in the past. We have very few people coming in through our southern border, too. We've worked with Canada and we've worked with Mexico, so we've made it a lot better.
On fentanyl, any amount is too much. So we've gotten it down. It's down substantially. It's less than 1%, but it's still too much. It's too much at home in Canada.
A lot of people.
Yeah, we got to stand up.
So again, right, some clever framing here. We've got it down. We got some praise for the United States. We're doing good work. That was not acknowledged before. So that message seems to be getting through with a repeated exposure and a repetition to the United States. Good to know that it's getting through, that we seem to be getting some credit for it, but also good on the Prime Minister to say, like, even the small amount that we get is too much, and we are really concerned about it, and that we will keep working on it. Very effective spinning. That right there would be, when we're talking about the difference between spin doctoring and just plain BS. This is a good spin doctoring, something that we are doing and we've taken it upon ourselves to do, but reframing the rationale in such a way as to show, yeah, Mr. President, on that one, we're with you. Right? We don't have to do that. We don't have to go that far. We don't have to make that effort. But that we do in this particular instance, in this particular context, really serves us. None of it's a lie, but it's an aspect of the program that we're taking and that we're deciding to bring to the forefront and shine a light on in order to get our efforts to be viewed in a favorable light. That is spin. Taking something that is true and trying to show the focus on the part that is true versus any potentially inconvenient parts or parts that aren't working so well, right? So genuine actual spin here, and very well done by the Prime Minister on this one. The next question that we got has to do with regard to the USMCA. As you might be aware, all three countries involved in the USMCA have all opened processes within their own nations, some consultation processes to gain some information to bring in to the initial talks when they will start, when all three countries get together. But it seems that the process has definitely been kickstarted in earnest here. So question about the future of the USMCA here that has gathered at this event.
USMCA, are the two of you both committed to seeing it through in the renegotiation of that deal that you made?
Well, we could renegotiate it, and that would be good, or we could just do different deals. We're allowed to do different deals if we want. We might make deals that are better for the individual
What's your preference?
countries. I don't care. I want to make whatever the best deal is for this country, and also very much with Canada in mind.
So you will notice here, kits and cubs, more Jell-o. We could have a deal. We could have some other type of deal. We could do something else that was beneficial, or we could do that. Again, as clear as mud. As firm as Jell-o being nailed to the wall. Mariah Carey type of response again, singing every note on the scale rather than just picking one and giving something that was clear and firm. So for those of you who are fans of the musical The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, the answer to that question would be in that scene where a journalist is looking to the other one and goes, was that a yes or a no? I think that was a definite maybe or possible maybe. So yeah, that's all we got from that. I believe that there's a little more to the answer about the USMC. Maybe not on this one. I think that might be all that we got there on the USMCA. The next question, really interesting, has to do. Um, Sorry, my mistake there. Has to do with really interesting situation, but kind of asking uh, what it is that Canada uh, is planning to give to the United States in return when it comes to these types of negotiations. So I will find the correct timestamp here for you on this question. It's a little further in the press conference here. So just got to fast forward ahead here. I think I might be off by a couple of seconds, but here we go. Let's try this. So basically, what is Canada giving in return? Basically, asking the President of the United States if he's extracted any concessions.
Mr. President, what is Canada giving you in return? If you say Mr. Carney's going to be leaving Washington happy, what's Canada giving you in
Well,
return?
you'll find out, but I think the people of Canada, they will love us again. Most of them still do. If you say only 25%, I assume a lot of them, I think they love us. And you know what? I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but I like it a lot. And I watched some of the greatest hockey games I've ever. How good were those games, right?
Yeah, very good. We're coming down for the World Series, Mr. President.
Okay.
So there again, you notice some. There's been a couple of times in this press conference where you notice while the journalists are still talking and yelling, and the sound is not so much on both leaders, that they're sharing little asides and joking with each other. They're talking about hockey, but also talking about the Jays, who unfortunately lost last night. It looks like they were going to do the 3-game sweep. They had a 6-0 lead, and then the bats stopped ringing for the Jays, and those of the Yankees popped up, and the Yankees won the third match of the best-of-5 series. And of course, the fourth match will be taking place tonight, also in New York. So we will be watching that, Kids and Cubs. If I'm mistaken, I think it would probably be the same time as last night, but I'll take a check on that for you. No, 1 hour earlier. Will be 7 o'clock tonight rather than 8 o'clock. I am the one, I have to take responsibility here, Kids and Cubs. I probably jinxed that because yesterday we went out for some friends after, went out with friends after volleyball, and the place where we went did have the Jays game playing on screen, and I started watching, and this not long after I started watching, the 3-run homer from the Yankees that tied it at 6-6 happened. And yeah, so often that is the case. Teams that I'm cheering for, or tennis players that I'm cheering for, as soon as I tune in to start to watch the match, that they start to lose. So sometimes I try not to watch the matches because I wish I did not have that much power, but sometimes I think I do have that much power as to actually just turn a game on its head, just because I decided I was going to watch and wanted my team or my favorite player to win so much that I actually inject reverse juju into the universe. So if you're upset, blame it on me. Blame it on me. I made the mistake of tuning in to watch, and I jinxed them. All right. I like that Kit Piazzi bio looking at the decoration. Kit Saucy going, has the room gotten more golden? Jesus, that's hard on the eyes. Kit Piazzi bio go, yes, it's distinctly more yellow in there. It looks like Liberace exploded. It really does. Oh my God. it is gaudy beyond belief. Okay, the next little bit that we have here, a question that is very important, particularly to the Prime Minister, but also Canadians in Quebec primarily, but also I believe, I think in Saskatchewan, I believe as well, there's a little bit there, but asking about supply management. And as we know in Canada, that is it's a red line. And particularly for this prime minister, I would assume would be a red line given the amount of support he has gotten from Quebec and how unpopular any anything that weakens in any way supply management would be.
Goods like dairy, for example, if the federal government.
Well, I deal with include dairy. I mean, it's going to include everything. We'll do a comprehensive.
Have you identified programs to eliminate under this shutdown?
So basically, that's pretty much it. Very quick question and answer on that one. Basically saying that, whatever happens is going to include everything. I am pretty sure that the Prime Minister would not necessarily agree with that portion. But again, not particularly the time to stand up and correct the President of the United States in public with regard to that. Hold on, I'll just put myself up on the screen. He's asked once again after that questions with regard to what's happening in the United States, whether or not he will be making more cuts. That's one of the things that the President of the United States has stated here that it is quite possibly an opportunity for he's looking at it as an opportunity to make some cuts to some programs or fields or workers that are so programs and fields that are favored by Democrats and workers that he claims would be Democrats, given a time to do some cleansing, for lack of a better term here. Not exactly again, something that's of a particular importance to us as Canadians. However, like we mentioned, this press availability had a combination of topics, some having to do with what was going on with having the Prime Minister in the Oval Office, and other things having to do with what's happening in the United States as the result of the shutdown and other initiatives. I believe that this is the final question here, and it asks about how the President of the United States has been viewing the Prime Minister in regard to the trade negotiations, whether he has been helpful or been, for lack of a better term. So just going to make sure everything is lined up here for you. Yeah, it is. And here we go.
Is there anything the Prime Minister has done that's making it more difficult to reach a deal?
Say it.
Is there anything the Prime Minister has done that's making it more difficult or easier to reach a deal?
No, I think he's a great Prime Minister. I mean, he could represent me anytime. I will tell you, I'm not saying that. No, he is a very strong, very good leader. He's a nice man, but he can be nasty. He can be very nasty. Maybe as nasty as anybody.
How?
I think Canada, let me put it this way, I can tell you this because I deal with lots of leaders all over the world. He is a world-class leader. He's a man that knows what he wants, and I'm not surprised to see that he won the election and won it substantially, and I would think he's more popular now. He's a good man. He does a great job, and he's a tough negotiator.
So then what's holding things up? If he's a great man and you want to do a deal with Canada, why aren't you?
Because I want to be a great man, too. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And that's how it ends. It actually ends on a very positive note. The prime minister is not a hindrance. In this case, calling the prime minister nasty is not an insult, as it would be for Chrystia Freeland, for example. But it seems here that when the president of the United States that says that someone is nasty, it's a begrudging respect, even if it is steeped in frustration. This one he doesn't seem to be frustrated by the Prime Minister of Canada as he was by Chrystia Freeland, but they're a tough negotiator. Prime Minister knows what he wants. Well, so does the President of the United States. So how can he hate that about the Prime Minister? It's a quality that he himself possesses. He seems the President of the United States seems to know what he wants. What it is that he wants, however, is questionable, but he seems to know it and he's pursuing it in a dogged fashion. And so is our prime minister. You can see that gesture that he put there. We had his hand up and go, write that down, write that down. But at the end of it, again, a little moment of seemingly elevating the prime minister in Canada by stating, if the prime minister is such a great guy and all that kind of stuff, why haven't you reached a deal yet? Because I want to be a great man too. The prime minister is. I would like to be at least as great as the prime minister. Sort of like the subtext underneath of that. Even though it's a joke, sometimes jokes have a little bit of truth to them. But ending on that was the perfect moment to end it on a lighthearted joke like that. That was the prime minister, the president of the United States. Genuine compliment has to be commended on his timing on that one, wrapping that up with a bow and a little bit of humor and a compliment, gracious compliment for his guests, and a tiny bit of self-deprecating humor, which is not something we tend to see from this president at all. So, that moment could not possibly have gone better, it appears, but we still don't have a firm thing that we can point to coming out of it saying, this is what we got, which is the frustrating part. More directives to the team to keep working and keep fast. There seems to be something in the work, and taking the prime minister's words, saying that if we get the deal we expect to get, uh, that's not something you say unless there have been some things that have been discussed and a few things that have been indeed finalized, and you're working on some final little bits. So hopefully sooner rather than later, there will be some type of more firm announcement. The fact that the minister who was the point person on U.S. trade stayed, the fact that the prime minister stayed last night, the prime minister is only coming back this morning, might be more signs that some of those talks continued late into the evening. Maybe there was a working dinner that went along with that. We'll find out about that type of stuff later. But all in all, seems to be rather positive, but does not give Prime Minister Carney something that he can point to as a win to come back home and counter what Pierre and the Conservatives are doing. However, I cannot imagine any member of the Conservative Party of Canada watching that press conference and not having their hearts shatter into millions of tiny, tiny, itty bitty bitty little pieces as it was happening, and seeing all the praise that Donald Trump has to give on the prime minister, stating how good he is and he might be even more popular, which puts the conservatives, and particularly conservative voters, in a very interesting position. I mean, if all of this was a reality show, and I mean, in some way it is, but like an actual traditional reality show, it would be almost like next week on The Bachelor. Will Conservative Party of Canada voters' loyalty to Pierre Poilievre remain, or will it be able to not prevail in light of their affections for President Donald Trump. Donald Trump seems to like the Prime Minister of Canada. Pierre Poilievre does not. Who will Conservative voters believe is giving the correct assessment of the Prime Minister of Canada? Will they choose Donald or will they choose Pierre? Join us next week on The Bachelor Rerun Edition and see who gets the final rose. But it does put those conservative voters a bit in a bind and the Conservative Party in a bind. How can you go around and keep on saying that the Prime Minister hasn't done shit and is crappy while trying to court the same voters who appear to really like Donald Trump? Recent polling has been showing, I think, like something like a third to half of Conservative Party of Canada voters are supportive of Donald Trump. So if Donald Trump and Pierre Poilievre have two distinctly different narratives on who is the Prime Minister of Canada, who do the Conservative voters who just want to believe, Donald or Pierre? Must be a really tough situation to be in. Quite a pickle. Glad I'm not glad I don't have to try to decide between two habitual liars and cheaters. Who is being truthful on this one? When you have two habitual liars and cheaters who have two polar sides of one issue, one of them, in this particular instance, that they disagree, has to be telling the truth. One of them has to be having a broken clock moment where they actually have it right. Which one is it? Oh, the divided loyalties. Yes, that look on my face is Piepenfreude. I'm sure it does not help Pierre Poilievre's cause in any way, shape, or form that the President of the United States seems to genuinely like our Prime Minister and think he's doing an amazing job. Kind of makes it harder for Pierre to sell the narrative that the Prime Minister sucks. Now, of course, the Conservatives are going to turn around and say, well, Trump wanted Carney to win the entire time anyway. Not quite exactly sure that's true. Because, of course, the conservative basis on that is because we would be much tougher than Carney, so you wanted to deal with someone who was weaker. I don't think anybody that has, again, a notion of rationality in their mind would buy that as being remotely true. So, the Conservatives, they will do what they normally do. The House of Commons question period will come back. The Prime Minister will be there for question period. Pierre is probably going to do his thing. Yeah, he came back empty-handed again. The Prime Minister sucks. And then we'll see what the Prime Minister has to say about that. Now, I'm not sure if he will drop any bombs in question period, but according to iPolitics Canada, for those who are wondering about it, it would seem that the Prime Minister will have a press availability around 5 p.m. today, where it is he might talk more about it. Here, according to them, it says later this afternoon, the Prime Minister will participate virtually in what the advisory describes as a conversation on the Canada-US relationship, which will be, quote, open coverage with reporters invited to email his office for further details on the event. That will take place at 5 p.m. The Prime Minister won't be back to join his fellow Liberals at the weekly closed-door caucus confab. This again, according to iPolitics, but will indeed be in the House of Commons this afternoon, as we mentioned. And see, what else do we have here? François-Philippe Champagne, the finance minister, recently was in front of the Finance Committee, and the Finance Committee will continue going through the fine print of the affordability measures that were introduced in June. So they're going to be looking at the proposed temporary tax break for first-time home buyers, as well as the reduction to the marginal tax rate for the two lowest income brackets, and the permanent removal of the consumer carbon tax. there. So there will be witnesses from Habitat for Humanity, Inclusion Canada, March of Dimes Canada, Ian Lee from Carleton University, and from the Toronto School of Cities, senior housing researcher Carolyn Witzman. Great Twitter feed, by the way. Recommended follow Carolyn Witzman. And Altus Group Vice President Peter Norman will also be there. Also on the public schedule, Canadian Union of Postal Workers officials are heading into their first ever face-to-face meeting with Government Transformation Minister Joel Lightbound. So we will find out more about that soon, what's going on there. Again, Mr. Lightbound not too long ago had come out and talked about, announced the major changes, including eliminating door-to-door delivery and shutting down post offices in remote and rural communities, which had the Canadian Union of Postal Workers get very upset and go back into strike mode, and basically arguing that the federal government's intervention has essentially poisoned or destroyed the entire collective bargaining process at this point. Other things happening. Senator Catherine Hay will host what is being billed as an intimate fireside chat with seven-time Olympic medalist and proud Canadian Andre DeGrasse and Secretary of State for Sport Adam Van Koeverdem, who is also an Olympic gold medalist, that will, quote, explore the themes of perseverance, leadership, youth empowerment, and the power of sports to inspire change from the track to Parliament Hill. And that will be at 5:45 p.m. And New Democrat interim leader Don Davies will discuss Cuba and Canada relations during closed-door conversation with Cuba's current ambassador to Canada, Rodrigo Malmiarca Diaz, at 4 p.m. And let's see what else is there. Industry Minister Melanie Joly will be joining Canadian Chamber of Commerce CEO Candice Lang for an on-stage chat as the organization kicks off its annual general meeting in Toronto, which, according to the advisory, quote, brings together executives and community business leaders from across the country to discuss the economic and political issues affecting Canadian business and to shape the Chamber's policy direction for the year ahead. That will be at 1:15 p.m. So that's kind of the big sort of news going around in terms of who is meeting with whom and whom is making some specific announcements today. All right, kids and cubs. I think that that's all I have for us today, since I'm already a little bit over time. I know. Thank you, Kit Linda M, for reminding me on the chat to say something about Doug Ford and the speeding things. I didn't have an opportunity to do it yesterday, but basically the crux of it is that Doug Ford also had a press availability yesterday where he tried to do the Captain Canada tough thing, which is an act that is wearing thin because he seems to be running out of material, saying that we need to hit back hard and all these counter tariffs and all this types of action. But the basic fact is our economy is not the size that is required to do the things that Doug Ford keeps on saying that we should do. And he's looking more and more silly, particularly since he's asking everybody else to do it. But he himself is not really taking much initiative on the front. As we mentioned, he claims that he has canceled the contract with Starlink, but no receipts have been submitted to suggest that. He's had the stuff with Crown Royal, and he's also talking about Smirnoff. But again, and he keeps on saying that he vows to do things, but nothing really there. And for Crown Royal, probably wouldn't be very smart to ask for boycotts or to try and punish, because Crown Royal is still being produced and bottled here and at two other cities, two other places in Canada. And it would be terrible for Doug Ford to be doing something that would hobble that part of the business as well. But the other thing here, it says that Doug Ford is going to introduce legislation this month to require publicly funded institutions and municipalities to prioritize Ontario-made products and services after facing criticism that the current directives that are in place are too weak and full of loopholes. So whereas the government of Canada is issuing by Canadian directives and all that type of stuff, and Doug Ford is out there in front of every mic doing the Captain Canada thing, we need to hit hard. He himself was not taking any action to make it law that municipalities and provincial government when possible, would buy Ontario made or even Canadian made here. So he is quoted as saying, "We are putting legislation in October that we are requiring municipalities and the provincial government that when possible, let's buy Ontario made vehicles." Ford told reporters Monday, "No matter if it's fire trucks or any other vehicles, personal vehicles, we need to buy them off Ontario made companies." And the latest remarks of the Premier expand on comments he made in September after a Queen's Park briefing investigation revealed that St. Clair College had quietly renewed a contract with US based software vendor Blackboard without a competitive bidding process, despite a Canadian competitor being ready to make a bid. So that happened in September, and even though there was some tisking, the Premier still didn't find it a priority for him to get off his duff and actually make some legislation. Now he's getting around to it. So Doug Ford talks a good game, but he doesn't seem to have a lot of follow up or follow through. You have to keep on him to make sure that he does. So not quite the team player he likes to frame himself as. Um, so there's been another issue hitting him that has to do with speed cameras. Doug Ford wants to eliminate them all, claiming that they are a cash grab. And there was a rumor going around that his daughter had picked up 83 such fines. That was never confirmed, and therefore we hadn't talked about it beforehand. But we were wondering what it was about because there was about mayors of 20 to 22 different municipalities that had come up against the plan and wanted those speed cameras to at least remain in effect in certain hours in school zones. And it seems that Doug Ford is completely against that, calling them cash grabs, stating that there was one camera or something like that that had issued something like 70,000 tickets and raised a lot of money as a result of it, but nothing has changed. And Doug Ford saying that, you need to change it through infrastructure, speed bumps and speed slowing things that are actually on the road and not speed cameras because they're just a cash grab. But on that front, news recently came out that the real thing behind this might be that certain members of Doug Ford's team have been caught speeding many times, and I have a feeling that they do not cover their own fines; that they somehow get expensed. But a reporter allegedly tracked the speeds of cars next to Ford's presser, announcing the end of speed cameras. 22 minutes, 48 cars driving 10 kilometers or more over the limit, at least one car 75 kilometers an hour in a 50 zone. In Ford's Ontario, you can break the law for free. So that was happening. But it would seem specifically that documents obtained through Freedom of Information requests show that vehicles assigned to Ontario Premier Doug Ford's cabinet ministers racked up over $3,300 in speeding fines over 3 years, including speeds of up to 30 kilometers an hour over the limits in school zones. So again, cabinet ministers going 30 kilometers an hour over the speed limit in school zones, which is probably what had the mayors asking for, well, can we at least leave them in school zones? The government confirmed all fines were paid by the responsible individuals. Well, that's Doug Ford saying it, unless there are actually receipts. I don't take anything he says at face value. As Ford advances legislation to eliminate automated speed cameras province-wide, rejecting proposals from 22 mayors to retain them in high-risk areas like schools during school hours. School boards and municipalities cite studies showing cameras reduce speeding by 45% in school zones, urging Ford to prioritize child safety amid the controversy. And Doug Ford saying here to the mayors, asking the government to continue to allow cash grab speed cameras in Ontario. I have been absolutely clear. The answer is no. So Doug Ford, another conservative, file this under Conservatives Hate Your Kids one more time, not willing to allow speed cameras even in high-risk areas like school zones, operational only in school hours, because maybe there's just too much embarrassment coming to him that his own cabinet ministers are not able to respect speed laws and are having fines, particularly in school zones. Yeah. Not the best. here. According to DeMello of Global News, on May 1st last year, a vehicle registered to one of Doug Ford's cabinet ministers blew past an automated speed camera going 70 kilometers an hour in a 40 zone and netting a $450 fine. Less than 3 weeks later, another vehicle registered to a cabinet minister was snapped going 65 kilometers an hour in a 40 zone and given a $227.50 ticket. 2 months after that, another ticket, this time 110 for driving 57 in a 40. Those 3 offenses in 2024 weren't the only examples. In fact, documents obtained by Global News using Freedom of Information laws reveal that over 3 years, vehicles registered to Ford's cabinet ministers received more than $3,300 in fines for speeding. The figure represents the cost of 23 tickets handed out by speed cameras, which the province said ministers of staff have since repaid. The fastest speed the vehicles were recorded going was 30 kilometers an hour over the limit, and the lowest speed was 11 kilometers an hour over the limit. On average, the government vehicles were snapped 17 kilometers an hour above the limit, with the average cost of the tickets at $144. And this is important because Doug Ford has been maintaining that sometimes the tickets are offered come around. The cash grab is happening at speeds that are barely over or that kind of stuff. And more information has come out that, if you are if you are within 11 kilometers an hour of the posted speed limit, you generally will not get a ticket. And this data seems to indicate it, the lowest speed at 11 kilometers an hour, but none for at going 2, 3, or 5 kilometers an hour. They seem to kick in at 11, which means that the information that Doug Ford was giving the public was misinformation, and what everybody else was saying was indeed true. The data comes from a request Global News made earlier this year for all automated speed enforcement tickets issued to vehicles registered to any of Ford's 36 cabinet ministers. The resulting documents released by Freedom of Information officials redact the first name, last name, and ministry of the vehicles that received speeding tickets. That means the 23 tickets were given to the vehicles of cabinet ministers, though it's not clear which ministries or who was driving at the time. Many senior politicians are driven by staff, and their vehicles are sometimes used by staff without them being inside. The Premier's office declined to release the names of the ministers or ministries which received the tickets. They did not address questions asking when they became aware of the tickets or whether they had taken any steps to work out who was driving at the time. In other words, this stuff is going on in your province, and I've determined that you are not allowed to know, is what Doug Ford has stated here. Quote, any ticket or fine issued to a minister's vehicle has been paid personally out of pocket by the minister or staff member directly, a spokesperson said. We expect all government vehicles operated by staff and or ministers to be driven in a manner that respects traffic laws and road safety. 2 of the speeding tickets were issued in 2023, 11 in 2024, and 10 between January and May 2025. So the amount of tickets seems to be going up every year. Revelations about the number of speed camera tickets issued to government vehicles come as Ford rolls out his plan to end the use of automated speed enforcement in Ontario. The Premier and his Transportation Minister said last month they would table legislation to ban municipalities from operating speed cameras, a system Ford repeatedly referred to as a tax grab. When the legislation is tabled, it will complete a policy walkback from the Premier who introduced the regulations in 2019 that govern speed cameras in the first place, bringing into force a law written by the previous Liberal government. A 2022 regulation also introduced by Ford government created the penalty structure for vehicles caught speeding. It decreed drivers would pay $5 per kilometer over the limit up to 19 kilometers over, with higher penalties for going 20, 30, or 50 kilometers over. The majority of the 23 tickets issued to minister vehicles fell in the lower category of $5 for each kilometer over the limit. 6 of the 23 offenses, however, were for driving more than 20 kilometers over the limit, which carries a fine of $7.5 per kilometer an hour, according to the rules Ford government tabled. One vehicle traveling 30 kilometers over the limit reached a fee of $12 per kilometer. Ford has complained that the speed cameras are too sensitive, issuing tickets for minor infractions. Quote, I'll use the stats just in Toronto because I know 32,000 tickets for going 2 kilometers over, 4 kilometers over, sometimes 10 or 15 kilometers over, and 3 months, the Premier previously said. None of the tickets given to minister vehicles were going less than 11 kilometers over the limit, and the average speed of 17 was also above Ford's example. One Liberal MPP, Rob Suryanek, who has been advocating to keep the speed cameras in place, asked whether cabinet support to remove speed cameras was born from experience. Quote, it makes you wonder who's advocating to the Premier to take speed cameras out of school zones, he said. Could it be ministers? Could it be staff? Could it be his family? At the end of the day, school zones keep kids safe and they help bring down the speed in neighborhoods. Surjanek said whether it was a cabinet ministers who were driving at the time the tickets were issued was immaterial, adding the buck stops with the minister. Quote, accountability matters, transparency matters, he said. Whether it's them driving or someone else, they're likely in the vehicle. We've got to make sure that folks aren't speeding all over the place, left, right, and center, going 20, 30 over. That's not okay. So there you have it, kids. Little extra news that I wanted to bring you yesterday and forgot, but given that Linda M reminded me and I saw it in the chat when we were done, I made a note of it and I'm bringing it to you today. Kids and Cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps all about us. We really appreciate it when you do, especially when you share a little word of yours there. Kids and Cubs, if you are on the go and you would like us to help you remain informed, please go to our pod page, podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver. Or if you are watching, you might want to scan this QR code that's going to appear right now. Boom. There you go. Because of the Ray Girl, she sponsors our pod page. And if you go there and click on subscribe, when we have something fresh off the audio podcast bandwidth, it goes directly to your podcast feed and waits for you so that you can click on it and take it with you. That way you can pop us in your ears and take on the day and do both things at once. Make your world and your community a better place and remain informed. Thank you so much for that. Now, if you would like to help us, please make your way on down to the True North Eager Beaver Incorporated YouTube page and click on our buttons like, share, and subscribe. Kits, Cassie, and Elaine would definitely approve. It helps us with the algorithm when you do, and it also makes us happy to see our numbers go up. If you would like to help us in other ways, Kids and Cubs, well, hey, have we got a deal for you? Our coffee page. That way, you can help us with the costs that we incur to bring this show to you. A little donation, couple of loonies or toonies into our tip jar keeps the emergency hydration fund well topped up. Because a moist beaver is a happy beaver, of course. We thank you for your enthusiastic expressions of encouragement. And Kids and Cubs, if you are buying Canadian, True North Eager Beaver at True North Eager Beaver at gmail.com. I forgot our own email address for a second there. Is where you can do a direct bank-to-bank transfer. And that way we get to have 100% of your donation, which means your donation goes further because the USCE Tech Pros do not take a cut from it. If you cannot contribute financially, the gifts of your participation and intention are the ones that matter the most to us. So please use that same email address, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, to write to us and let us know what you think about the show, good, bad, or ugly, or offer us some guest suggestions. We would definitely appreciate your input. You write to us so often, and we do take a lot of your suggestions and work them into the show because we believe that this is your show too. So thank you for that support as well, Kids and Cubs. We are very, very grateful. If you want to reach us on our socials, at True Eager at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge and on the Jitter, True North Eager Beaver on our Facebook page, our original home, and of course our YouTube comment section right down below. If you happen to be watching live with the DAMFAM or your own time, let us know what you think. We read absolutely everything, even though we're not able to get back to everyone. And all of your contributions, whether financial or in word, get worked back into the show to improve it for you. And we thank you for being active listeners. And also, Kids and Cubs, remember the fun on the show, the DAMFAM. Let's try that again. The DAMFAM fun on the show does not stop when the show is over because many of you have organized your own DAMFAM Discord. And if somebody in the chat would be very happy to put it up there and let all the other Kids and Cubs know where they can go for more discussion between the DAMFAM and lots of clips being shared, little watch parties, question period, and certain press events. That's all organic, all organized by you, DAMFAM. We are so pleased that you keep the fun going after the show. So please check that out when you have the time. All right, because democracy is something that you do, forever-canadian.ca. Please go there if you're from Alberta to sign the petition to get a Citizens Initiative question on the ballot for a question that will keep Alberta in Canada. And that's what we're going to be discussing. Thomas Lukasik and his wonderful team are doing good work. So find out where your pop-up location is. Canvassers will be there to witness your signature. If you want to become a canvasser, you can sign up and ask, and you will get the training that is required. Of course, this organization does also incur costs in order to collect all those signatures, and if you would like to help with that, that's where you can do so as well. If you are in Newfoundland and Labrador, St. John's, today is municipal election day for you on the 8th. So, because it was delayed given the Canada Post strike, so please make sure that you vote, and then keep that voting finger or voting hand warmed up, because on the 14th, you will have to do it again in the provincial election. And hopefully, we will have another Focus Newfoundland and Labrador show for you next week with what's been going on in the campaign since then, since we had the last one for you. But please do plan your vote. And if you're on the Yukon Territory, remember your vote for the territorial election is November 3rd. Finally, kids and cubs, petition ourcommons.ca, petition E6679. Please go to it and sign it. It's a bid to try to bring more honesty into Canadian politics. We have 33,311 signatures to date, and we will put the address in the chat for you, of course, to go there and be able to find it and sign. And do join us tomorrow, kids and cubs, because we will have a pre-record for you, but it will be an interview with Mr. Fed Sanchez, who is the person who has spearheaded this petition, found the MP in the House who would, it's not sponsor, I can't remember, I think authorize the petition, and we are trying to get as many signatures as possible, hoping for about 100,000, because that would definitely get a lot of attention of members of the House, and might be the type of thing that leads them to propose legislation. Mr. Sanchez also believes that probably at around 100,000 might be a rate at which newspapers might start writing about the petition as being a thing in our politics, which would bring it to the attention of more people. So please do go to the petition. I've just posted it right now. Sign it. And once you have, please share the petition with all your friends, and please ask them to sign it as well. Let this be a telephone thing. You tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and so on and so on and so on. For those who've a certain age and happen to remember that commercial, this is the type of thing. But we have a Canadian citizen who has decided to get up and do democracy. So the least we can do is help him in his pursuit and bring this to the attention. So thank you, kids and cubs. I have signed it. Mr. Grizzly has signed it. Mr. Grizzly signed it live during the interview yesterday. So you will see that when you watch it tomorrow. And we thank you for all of your support. All right, kids and cubs, words of wisdom for you. Words of wisdom. I don't really have any for you today. I'm just going to say, you know what? Healthy dose of have a healthy dose of skepticism. You're going to hear a lot over the next couple of days. People who desperately want to frame situations so that you look at it in a way that is more favorable to them. Without being cynical or being hard, have a healthy dose of skepticism over the next few days. You might need it. Kids, it can be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And for those of you who are NHL fans, the regular season started last night, but the first matches involving Canadian teams will be taking place today. There is some really good matchups: Montreal versus Toronto and Edmonton versus Calgary. So the big Canadian rivalry, Montreal-Toronto, and then the Battle of Alberta, all on the first night of the regular season for these Canadian teams. Quite a lineup already as a doubleheader. So for those of you who will not be watching the Blue Jays, maybe you will be watching the first hockey of the season, regular season play. All right, kids and cubs, that's all I have for you. So audience participation time at the count of 3. Would you please say, Mr. Beaver, please cue the cock on 1, 2, and 3. Oh, such melody, such harmony. The dynamics are fantastic. I have to. I just must acquiesce. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right, kits and cubs. Just little quick notes of Canadians who have made us proud. Felix Auger-Aliassime won his eighth of final match against higher rank Musetti, causing the upset to advance to the quarterfinals. And it looks like he's got a very good draw lined up to be able to potentially get to the finals at the event in Shanghai, which is a big deal. And so we definitely are cheering for him. Um, Leila Fernandez is playing with Aaron Routliff in doubles because Gabriela Dabrowski is off court for a little bit, and they won their first match in Wuhan. So hopefully they will go far. Canadians stepping in to help our fellow Canadian. Liam Drexel defeated O'Connell at a challenger event in Jinan, China, and he is trying to earn his way into the top 100. He is very close. If he has a good run here, that could definitely do that for him, and that would gain him automatic qualification into a Grand Slam tournaments, with the first one being the Australian Open coming in January. Cleve Harper and his partner also won their doubles match at a challenger event in Ottawa, France, to advance to the next round. And so have Marina Stakusik and Cadence Brace have won their singles matches at an event that they are competing at as well. And both of them also trying to eventually get into the top 100. Both of them are top 200 players, I believe now, and trying to make their way to the highest stage of the game. So lots to cheer about here. And we'll be back with you live on Friday. And tomorrow we will have our pre-record, as we mentioned, with Mr. Fed Sanchez, and trying to bring more honesty to Canadian politics. That's all I got for you today. Like magic, kits and cubs, I am gone.